Well, greetings and welcome back, fellow golf addicts and wine enthusiasts, to another episode of the Fantasy Golf Sommelier. And this week we are at the Arnold Palmer Invitational. It is a great field, and I cannot wait to get started with my prize picks plays of the week. First off, though, here's what I want you to do. As always, I want you to like and I want you to comment. And here's what comment I want. Okay. We're drinking rosé tonight. It's my birthday. So we're going to drink some rosé. And I'm excited about that. And I think rosé is an underrated wine. Okay. I think it's an underrated wine. And I'm going to tell you reasons why that is here in a little bit. But before I do that, I want you to give me a comment on your underrated play of the week. Okay. So give me a guy you think's underrated, somebody nobody wants to talk about, nobody wants to admit that they like, kind of like a rosé. And I want to hear who that play is for you this week. But first off, I got to pour what I'm drinking tonight. Now, this is a little bit higher end. Okay. And when I say higher end, it's called Miraval. And a little interesting fact about this rosé: Brad Pitt and Angelina Jolie have something to do with this. And when I say it's higher end, rosés are really they're really not that expensive in general. I'm sure there's some really expensive ones out there. But this one's probably like $25. Usually I like it in like the $15 range. Okay. All right. I'm not full time like DB is. So I'm going to be drinking it, little $25 wine. I've never had this before. Never had it. So I'm going to have it for the first time. This will be my first sip. And then I'm going to get into some plays of the week. But let's go. Let's really start with our pop the cork play. Okay. As I've mentioned many times so far since we've been doing this with PrizePicks, this is the guy that I'm all in on this week. Okay. Now, I will remind you, last week's pop the cork play was Shane Lowry. I said I was all in on him across the board. I said I would bet him. I said I would play him in DFS. And I'd take every single play I could that I liked on PrizePicks. And for the most part, that pretty much panned out. He didn't win, but he almost won. He came pretty damn close. By the way, I did hit Sepp Straka at 140 to 1, but that's beside the point. Okay. But Will Zalatoris this week is going to be my pop the cork play. I love him. Now, I mentioned him on the podcast for one play, and I'm going to go ahead and reiterate that right now on PrizePicks, okay? I like the under for Will Zalatoris for his total strokes in round one. He's currently set at 71. This is a par 72. Okay, I think, we've got 4 par 5s out here. He's just a fantastic player. He can score as long as the putter's on, which I think it will be. And I think he can at least shoot a 70, just 2 under par. That's all I need out of him. I know he's going to make a few bogeys, but whatever. I don't care. I think Will Zalatoris can get to the under on 71. Another thing that I like about Will Zalatoris, he hits a lot of greens, okay? He is number 2 in this field in greens and regulation over his last 24 rounds. I like the over on 11.5 greens in regulation for Will Zalatoris, okay? All right. Here we go. By the way, wine we're talking about rosé because it's my birthday. By the way, I heard all you people last week on my video talking about how I was holding my wine glass and whatever else. Look, it's hard. It's hard to talk on a screen to a camera, hold a wine glass, and make sure you don't drop it or do whatever. So, sometimes I may grab it like a monster or something. But, for the most part, I know how to handle a wine glass. Got to be gentle. By the way, this bottle is weird. Okay, it's like kind of like sorry, I had a nose itch there. It's kind of like when you look at this bottle, you're like, there's no way this is 750 milliliters. No way. It's like a tiny little bottle. but it is. It's an optical illusion. I don't know if they do that on purpose or not. I mean, so that means if you drink this whole bottle, you're like, I didn't really drink like that much. It's just this tiny little bottle. So I like that. All right, so moving on, we're going to go to the Boone's Farm fade of the week, and this is where I force myself to take an underplay. Now, it's gotten a little easier with this since they've added shots on a hole, okay? And these plays, I think some of them are a little more obvious than others. And this one I love, okay? So Hideki Matsuyama, the under on hole number 16, which is a par 5, which is set at 4.5 strokes. Now, every single over-under they have on the par 5s, which is typically what they get as far as the plays or what they put out there, is set at 4.5. So that's just where they're going to have it, okay? But let me tell you about this hole, number 16. It's the easiest hole in the course, okay? Hideki is third in the field in par 5 scoring. I like him this week overall. I think he's going to have a good week. But with hole 16 being the easiest hole in the course, basically averages under 4.5 strokes anyway. Okay. So the field averages under 4.5. And then you get a guy like Hideki. He's one of the best players in the world, a great ball striker, everything else. There is a little bit of water guarding the hole in the front. So that makes it kind of a little bit dicey. But still, I love this play this week. I am going to hammer Hideki Matsuyama in my contest on PrizePicks, and I'm taking him in the under on hole number 16. Okay, let's get into this wine a little bit more. Couple tasting notes here. And, this is, there's some interesting tasting notes. Pause again, because my effing computer, stand by, crashed on me. God, I hate this effing computer. That is the Boone's Farm fade of the week. Now, let's get a few tasting notes here, okay, on this rosé. Miraval. Really good, really good. It's got good color to it. You see that? That pink color. It's one that's it's got like a lot. It's obviously got a little fruity flavor, but it's got some earthiness to it. As a matter of fact, there's almost like I almost could recall here in like some wet sand. If you've ever smelled wet sand, that's what I'm smelling here. You got some strawberry and some lemon. But again, it's really earthy. I go back to the wet sand. Anyway, it's good stuff. All right, so let's move on to the FGS Reserve play of the week. So we're taking this one out of the reserve. This is going to be my over play of the week. And you know what? I feel like this one is a little bit too easy. And when that happens, you get a little bit nervous. But I'm still going to hammer it. And that is Justin Rose, the over on 4.5 strokes on hole number 4. Okay, hole number 4 is a par 5 also. All right, it's almost 600 yards. Okay, Justin Rose is getting on up there in the years. All right, he's getting a little bit older. The score average, by the way, the average score on hole number 4 has been about 4.8. Okay, so it's not necessarily that easy of a hole, even though it's a par 5. And most of the time, these guys can just hammer par 5s out here. And so I don't really think that Rose, I just don't see Rose birdieing this hole on Thursday. Okay. He's 98th in the field also in par 5 scoring. That's not very good. Okay. So I think if you take the over here, it's a pretty safe play. We'll see what happens, but I like it. Okay. All right. So that is the FGS Reserve play of the way. Okay. So that's the FGS Reserve over play of the week, Justin Rose. All right. So I talked earlier in the opening that I was going to tell you some things about Rosé. And I think that's what I said. I don't even remember. I don't remember what I said at the beginning, but I'm still going to talk about this anyway. And of course, I don't have it up because it crashed again. All right, so that is the FGS Reserve Play of the Week. And now let's just finish up with a little rosé talk, okay? Some fun facts about rosé that maybe you didn't know, okay? Some things that make it a little bit underrated, all right? By the way, rosé is actually one of the oldest wines ever, okay? It was they were making rosé before red wine, before white wine. Okay, so don't sit here and act like that this is something new. All right, I know a lot of people drink it now, and it's sort of a new thing, but it's actually been around a lot longer than your reds and your whites, which I think is kind of interesting. Here's another thing that's kind of interesting. It comes from red grapes. People tend to think of white wines or pink wines or whatever is coming from white grapes. That is not correct with rosé, okay? Now, here's the thing, and one of the reasons that you get that pink flavor to it is with a red wine, you know, the grape itself kind of hangs on to they let it cling on to the skin a lot longer, okay? But with a rosé, all right, they get that skin off there a lot quicker, okay? And that's why you get more of that pink flavor to it. And that also is one of the reasons that with a rosé, you want to drink it quick. It is not a wine that gets better with age, okay? Like me, all right? I'm more like a red wine, okay? But, you know, you want to drink the crap out of a rosé like really soon, okay? And just drink it all. That's all I got this week, okay? I'll be back next week. We got the Players Championship. DB and I are doing a show together. Make sure you check the show notes. They're somewhere below where you can check out the Road to Augusta with PrizePicks. This is going to be a fantastic contest. We're going to take you to Augusta, and we're going to have some fun. And by the way, if you come to Augusta and you win, you're going to drink some rosé, and you're going to like it. Okay? That's all I got.